Hello everyone! Welcome to this week's update from us here in France at Domaine Sauvage, where we share what we've been up to. We're at a stage now where each week's work really depends on what comes on our way. But whatever it is, it all adds up to the bigger picture, bringing this old, once abandoned farm back to life step by step with a few improvements along the way. Whether it's clearing land, digging to solve water issues, or trying to bring a much needed worn down dumper back to life, every step counts. Speaking of the dumper, we're still waiting, I'd say pretty desperately now, for the new injectors to arrive from the UK. With a bit of luck, replacing them will finally be the magic key to getting it running properly. So fingers crossed they show up soon. And in the meantime, there's no shortage of jobs to tackle on the property, no rest for the wicked. By now, you've probably seen a few of the buildings that are on the property in our past videos. There's the main house, of course, then the two barns, the older one, which we plan to restore. We've already ordered the tiles and timber, and they should be delivered soon. And then the newer barn from the 70s, which we currently use to store tools and things like second-hand solar panels for the future. There's also the small barn that now serves as our chicken coop, the old well in the center of it all, and then two little buildings just behind the farmhouse that we'll be focusing on this week. One of those has to do with getting ready for winter. It might sound odd to be thinking about winter just as summer begins, but that's part of country life. Some things need to be prepared a few seasons ahead. You'll see what I mean. The second little building might look familiar. It already got some screen time last summer when Philippe's brother-in-law Ruben did a great job of clearing away the ivy and brambles growing between the stones. His work helped prevent further deterioration, and now that summer is back, it's time to continue what he started. So join us as we give each little building the attention it deserves. One is about to gain an important new function, and as we clear more ivy from the other, its hidden history slowly reveals itself. But before we dive into all of that, Philippe is starting the week with a bit of bramble control, pushing back the wall of green before it can spread anymore.
Because you see all those little shoots coming out, and sometimes the mowing robot gets stuck in them when he does the edges. Now, my favorite part is pulling them out. So the goal is not to get rid of all the brambles, by the way, but now it's just too much. If people go back to the beginning, everything behind you, everything was brambles. So that's not what we want, but we also do not want a yard that's just grass. So what we're doing is pushing it back, mowing it regularly now. So hopefully it dies off, and I think it's dying off because in the yard, if I leave it sometimes, I don't see that many shoots coming up again. So that's a good sign. And afterwards we want to start planting or seeding big patches of wildflowers. So we don't need an hectare of grass. And this is exactly why I mow it. It's all these little presents that were left behind. If I mow it very short, and especially in the next coming months, I'm sure I will pull out more rope, more plastic, maybe some glass, especially after it has rained, and I'll be able to see more. Okay, next up. So I did the brambles from all the way up to the trees, but what I'm gonna do now is do the brambles here, because here they are starting to sprout little ones as well, and I want to push back because there's a big oak tree there. I've been underneath it. I can go through a little spot over there. It's a really nice place, and once you reach it, it's like 2-3 meters of brambles, then you're inside the forest, and then it's a little bit easier to make your way through. And like I said, there's a little bit of stuff dumped over there. Well, I think it's a little bit, and I would like to get rid of it someday, so it would be nice to get at least a little part. So maybe I'll concentrate on this first, push through, and then push left. Okay, I took all the building materials out of this little shed, and we're gonna store our wood for the winter in here. So it's out of the yard because we have a lot of work to do there, and I think if I store it there again I'll have to move it, and we have to put those plastic covers on it, but they deteriorate with the sun. Okay. Yeah, little towels. Probably do something with them. Might as well take this beam out. These are actually still the original beams. They're done, fully rotten. but there used to be one here, there. Probably platform, hay on top, and animals inside here. So this side is concrete, probably put on top of the original stones. This is probably the original stones. It's actually quite stupid we didn't think of this earlier, to put our wood in here. It's a great place to put it. It was full of stuff, so maybe that's why we didn't do it. Go through it a little bit so I can remove plastic from glass. The usual stuff that I find here, sadly enough, glass. See? That's the problem here, is I want to put it on the compost heap, but it's always full of shit. Like this. The only good thing is it is somewhat contained close to the house, so it is manageable and I can clean it up. It's just sad that I have to waste my time. Well, waste in a sense, yes, it shouldn't have been like this. Yes! No, that's what I call perfect. I want to keep it a little bit off the floor with all the rain that I know we can get around here. If it gets humid, at least the wood is a little bit off the floor. I think it will be better. Fit in there, and it does fit in there. I'm very lucky because it's a close fit and I don't have to do anything. Voila! And this is how it's gonna be. So fill up the whole space. In the beginning I'll take one pallet there so I can enter, start filling it up. Put the pallet back, fill up the front, and then just take out wood what we need. And when one space is done, take out the pallet, and then we can reach the whole corner over there. Same for the other side. It's gonna be a lot easier.
The handy thing about, let's call it our new old woodshed, is that it's just behind the main house. And since there's a back door that opens into the hallway, it'll only be a few steps away when we need wood for the stove in the winter. Much more practical, and I have a feeling practical will be our mantra with a baby on the way.
Let's get the shredder out here. Shred those branches or mulch them, the mulcher. Mulch these ones into chips. And then probably gonna go over this with the mower a couple of times so it gets even finer. Because the robot mowers are driving here, so, and this is a little bit, the robot mowers aren't mulchers. I'm expecting them to mulch for me, but they don't like it. So I'll mulch this with the mower a few times. And then it's just a waiting game, because I've planted 0 grass seeds here. Everything sprouts by itself. And it's grass, it's herbs. Herbs, I'm calling it herbs. But it's grass, weeds, flowers, everything combined. And I'm not mowing it constantly, so I let the robot mowers mow it, let it grow a little bit, let the flowers come out so the pollinators can come, have a little go, and when it gets too long for the robot mowers, just before I send them out again to mow it. So that's perfect. And the crazy thing is, this was all brambles, and like this, just brown, and the grass and everything just sprouts by itself here. I didn't do nothing to it, just clean it up. Aha. Ja, papa. Ja? Let op dat je niet valt, houden. So for the ones that don't know what this is, because maybe I didn't explain it, but this is an old bread oven. There's where they stored the wood, where the oven entrance is. This used to be a dome, like a giant pizza oven. Let's put it this way, they made a fire in it and then they would bake bread or maybe other things in it. I'm not 100% sure, but this was an oven. So trying to clear it a little bit because it's full of vines and other stuff growing in it. It is damaged, so it doesn't matter. But I want to clear it a little bit and just plant flowers in it for now. So the vines also stop damaging because they push everything open. The tiles I used were like 3 times the thickness of a normal roof tile, but it is the same material. Okay. You can see that actually the tiles are stacked vertically like this. That's a nice detail to see, but it's fully collapsed. Well, it's open here a little bit, but and there at the back you see a little bit of light. That's where I'm digging. So fully collapsed. The only way is to dig it all out and rebuild it. Well, see if it's rebuildable, because the building itself is in a bad shape as well. Because of water, everything is beyond damp, so everything starts to shift. So the only way to save these little buildings is to dig a drain around them, get the water away, and then look what we can do with them. So here is the hole, and you can see it open up a little bit towards there. It's fully caved in. You can see the dimple in here as well. So let's just keep on removing all these roots, which is a lot of work. And what caves in, caves in. There's not much I can save, to be honest, and all those tiles are rotten. You see, I wouldn't go in that hole. It's not very sturdy. Guilty cat. Guilty cat. Guilty. Oh. Ah. Ja, we gaan eerst thuis doen. En dat wegbrengen.
Welke besjes zijn het?
Rood.
Frambozen?
Ja, framboos.
Heb je al veel gevonden? Oké, kijk de pot maar eens. Dan mag je er al in. beetje in je mond en een beetje in de pot, oké? Ja, stik die maar in de pot. Ja, kom. Kom, hier zijn er nog besjes. Dank u. Moto. Voilà. Ga je het aan papa geven?
Ja.
Oké, wacht houden.
Camera, but this is all vines and roots, and then mixed in with those stones and roof tiles. So it makes for a interesting combination. And then once in a while something like this to make it even more interesting. Actually, I like these kind of vines. This is a old hinge from a door. These ones I keep. Like we used it on the little fence to go in our vegetable garden. Okay, let's continue. I just got some new work pants for my birthday. You can take a guess how old I am in the comments. Where I'm standing, I think it was still flat, and here is where the oven started to rise. It would probably go something like this. I don't think it was very high. This is the angle. This doesn't move that much, so. And where I'm standing on, that's the collapsed bit. So from here on, it's like this, but it all went down. So here I'm standing in the middle of the oven. You can see it more now. Hopefully I'll take another close-up shot. It was actually quite a big wall going around, and then the bread oven itself. I think it used to be very beautiful. We'll get it back there. So the oven starts here somewhere. You can see the circle, and it goes down, and then there was a white wall around it. I think same. I should have to measure it, but I think 70 centimeters, a bit same like the house and the barn. So, and here you have the tiles that run vertically, and they would go up, 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 like this. I think it was a full circle, like this, a dome. And of course the center has dropped in, so to give you a little bit of an idea, and here it's open. If I look in this hole, I can see the oven inside, so, and this is the, I'm not going to try to break off too much, but up just to show you. It has broken off, but this is the tile, so they're stacked. Actually, it's not the same part, but the tiles are something like this. And then they are stacked like this. And of course, halfway and a little bit up. So this is how they built it all around. So it's nice to see this because I'm gonna leave it as it is. I'm gonna dig this a little bit more, get that big root ball away, give it one more brush, give it a light soak in water, and put seeds on it, flower seeds, and we'll see if it takes or doesn't take. And all the old rocks that I got out, I'm gonna put them back on the edges. So when I decide to rebuild it, at least I can use the rocks that were here. Okay, let's do this. Now the only thing I gotta do is make sure not too many birds see me, like that pigeon over there. It's already looking at me. Hopefully this works out. It will give this barren place a better look in maybe in a month, I think. I think it will grow fast. What's that? The only things I don't like about this compost is there's a little bit of shredded plastic inside, which they can solve. People shouldn't throw their plastics with their greenery, that's one thing that's for sure. But when they do process it, there are machines to get the plastics out. But that of course costs money to do, so they just leave it in for you to pick it out, I guess. But it's not that much, it's okay. But we won't be bringing in more compost than this. We are going to try to make our own compost for next year. And I think this compost is a little bit too much of the brown stuff and not enough of the green. It's a little bit, I don't know how to describe it, a little bit too dry, I think. But it is the only place around us who sells it in big volumes. If you would buy all this compost in little bags, I would be ruined. So you gotta make some compromises once in a while. Voilà, allemaal op een rij. Dus de inplankje is hier. Hè?
Oh. Firewood.
Ja, doe maar erin. Voilà. Dan mag je de andere pot pakken.
Kijk.
Ja.